The backstory to this audiobook is bizarre. I mean, 1979, Sean Penn, before he's really famous, meets this kind of delinquent-like character at a bar, recognizes he's sort of a deranged genius, kind of forgets about him, pawned him off on his mother, who was selling cards at the time.
So cut to, like May this year, my mother calls me, and she'd long since forgotten about this guy. She'd also long since gotten out of the greeting card business. And she tells me I've got some fan mail from somebody named Pappy Pariah. I said, "Ma, that's not fan mail. That's that guy. Remember that guy?"
There is no social security number for the man. I have no record of taxation.
I called people who work in the finding people business.
Carlos Castaneda wrote all of his books without doing interviews or being photographed.
Look at the outdoor painter Banksy, who sneaks at night, spray paints walls, and disappears into the ether of the world.
Pappy's a holy man. Pappy doesn't like what I would call a lot of language. Pappy has crow medicine. When Pappy walked with me in one particular night, oh, I think Pappy knew you as well.
You know, the fact that there had not been books before seems to indicate that he has a particular concern about where the country and the culture is right now.
You know, there's something about someone who is not amoral. He has a moral code, this character, but he does horrible things. I mean, he kills people.
It starts to slowly create this narcotic world that's sort of like being in the middle of Clockwork Orange and on speed.
I mean, I could have called him a complete sociopath.
There's elements of Kurt Vonnegut in there a little.
It could be Kerouac. It could have been Norman Mailer.
People live, and then there's this group of almost a global mafia, and somehow Pappy Pariah's tapped into that mafia world.
The reason he calls it a memoir, which suggests a certain fiction to it, may have to do with legal statutes of limitations.
It is in the absence of disturbance that he found beauty. And I thought, yeah, that really says it all about America right now.
I think it's a danger to anyone who reads it and might take this as sort of a field manual or an anarchist cookbook.
You know, I read it in, I guess, August, and it had references to the Republican convention in July, and it felt like it had been written 2 hours before I read it, which is possible.
Pappy has a vast interest in Islam right now, and Pappy and I often speak in terms of what I would call the etwan, or the when one queen rises in the language of the Quran, there's the left-out vowelistic sound.
And that he's able to kind of pull back kind of a scab and show all of the maggots and festering inequalities of a world gone wrong. It's impressive.
Just the fact that Donald Trump, unnamed, becomes a character near the end, it's almost apocalyptic, you know, and it's funny because it really captures the way a lot of people are feeling right now in this country a month before the election, that this could be our last chance to get it right, and if we don't, I don't know what happens.
This book speaks to those changes, and it hammers out a warning.
But when you're in a world where the sociopath is making more sense than the pundits, you better make some quick changes.